Kia ora koutou, my name is Michelle Stronach-Marsh. I'm a Petone local, not born and raised, but certainly this has been my home place where I live, raise my family and also have my business. So I've lived here for 15 years and I lived here in the late 90s as well, flatting on Jackson Street in a really cool apartment. And I'm very proud about Petone. This is where I've chosen to set my roots and become deeply entrenched in our community. I see myself as I guess a guardian, for want of a better term, of Petone Beach at present, and I've been speaking out on social media predominantly for the last 8 months about an issue that I feel is growing. So for the last 3 years I've been plogging, and plogging is a Swedish portmanteau which stands for so picking up litter while you run, basically. So the Swedish word for picking up is plocka upp, and they say jogging instead of jogging, and the two together become plogging. So I've been doing this for 3 years, and it was sort of something that I suddenly realised I was doing. I adopted 3 children 6 years ago, 3 teenagers out of foster care, and my husband and I, obviously the very first thing for us all to give up was our exercise. I put on so much weight, it's just unreal. I'm still trying to lose it, but about 3 years ago I decided enough is enough. I'm going to start doing something for me. Now I do a lot of community work already, and I'm not really about me. I've never ever been able to do things for me and put myself first, so immediately I start walking and I start seeing other issues in my community, and suddenly turn something that's meant to be about Michelle into something for my community, and that was picking up rubbish. So one of the things that I noticed when I was out on my daily walks was that a lot of people either drop litter, or litter is blown by our wind, prevailing northerlies and southerlies in the area, or it comes from other sources such as skips. There's a lot of building going on obviously in Petone. When wheelie bins are emptied, if a gust of wind catches it. It's also brought in by our beautiful harbour. And I guess carrying on from what Lachlan has been talking about today, I'm very passionate about conservation, and particularly and access to all, and to enjoy the environment, not only the wildlife but also the birds. A lot of birds from around New Zealand and Australasia actually come and land on Petone Beach at different times of the year. They might just have a wee rest, and sometimes they're carrying on to other parts, but it's an amazing place to watch wildlife, and that's something that I really enjoy doing. I'm also a Girl Guide leader of 20 years this year, which is pretty phenomenal, and it's something that I love doing, sharing all things to do with conservation with my Girl Guides. So 3 years ago, I just started picking it up. So I'd go Monday to Friday, 5Ks, and on Saturdays and Sundays between 8 to 10Ks. And I was spending longer and longer and longer out on these walks, and my husband was starting to wonder what was happening to me. And about 18 months ago, I decided to start contacting council about it, because I just felt like I couldn't continue to pick up all this rubbish and not actually, really get council on board. And that was maybe 2 years ago, maybe. So I started reporting big stuff that was like illegal dumpings and things like that. But I was seeing patterns with the types of litter that I was collecting, so I started to record it all just by simply taking photos of the rubbish that I collected. And I have a folder that I shared with council. So on average, each day I collect anywhere, like on a weekend I'd pick up about 700 pieces on Saturday, and then another 700 or so on Sunday. And on weekdays, over a 5K run, which takes me an hour. It should only take me about 20 minutes, because that's how fast I can run now. And I'd pick up anywhere between 200 to 300 pieces of litter Monday to Friday each day, which is really alarming. That's a lot of rubbish. So I've got some pictures to show you the types of rubbish that I collect as well. So I found that I wasn't really getting any traction with council from this, and I've looked at different, because I'm starting to see huge patterns, and I've written great big lists about how we could change things like bin design. I've made videos of seagulls pulling rubbish out and shared that with council, and nothing has changed in the 3 years that I've been doing this, zero, other than an increase of people coming to Petone, an increase of building work, an increase of development. And of course the rubbish problem has grown and grown and grown. So the volumes that I'm collecting now are just out of control, quite frankly. So I start out from my home, which is here in Petone and Riddler's Crescent, and then I head off down part of Jackson Street and then out to the Esplanade. And in a certain area on Jackson Street there's a couple of developments, and on 2 of those developments I pick up on average 1,000 pieces of litter from those building sites each day. Sorry, not each day, each week, sorry. Which is a huge proportion of the rubbish that I collect. So 30% of the rubbish that I'm collecting is actually from building sites. And that could be changed like that. And I've tried, I run my own construction company, so I feel that I have the ability to talk to tradies, and certainly with my own contractors, I've developed an amazing recycling program, so we don't send huge amounts to landfill, and I know it can be done, and it's very simple, and it impacts on everybody's bottom line. But unfortunately, the tradies that are working on these sites and these contractors, they're just not interested, and I've been abused constantly by people, and even just by running past, because they'll see me picking up rubbish, they jeer and yell all sorts of profanities at me that you wouldn't want to hear. And in fact, I've had my teenage daughters with me from time to time, and I've been shocked at the sorts of things that have been said to me. So one of the things that really, I guess, struck a chord in me was this summer. I swim along the Petone foreshore most days of the summer, starting around October through to sort of March, April. And in January I was swimming, and every single stroke that I took, I was getting handfuls of chocolate bar wrappers and lolly wrappers in my hands. It was just vile, and of course I was in my togs, so I had nowhere to shove the rubbish, so I was kind of putting it into my togs. And I got out of the rubbish, and I just pulled so much rubbish out of my togs, it was unreal. And I put it all down and took a photo, and then I thought, this is crazy, I have to let other people know. I don't think other people realise just how problematic this is. So I started a Facebook page, and in the last 7 months it has just, the awareness has become phenomenal, and the amount of support that I've received from people in our community that had no idea about the extent of the problem, and people coming on board and helping me on my daily blogs. So most days I have people that join me, they'll say, what time are you going today, can I join you? So other people in our community are getting on board. The bonus out of all of this is that I've lost 20 kgs doing that, which is really awesome, and I'm the fittest I've ever been in my life. Even when I thought I was fit, I wasn't this fit. So it's pretty awesome, and to know that I have had something out of this. But I'm still getting nowhere with council, and I guess as most of you are business people, one of the things that I urge you to do is to start becoming responsible for the gutter outside of your business. It's as simple as that. Start being responsible for the gutter outside of your home or in your street. You'd be amazed at how much rubbish I collect down at the beach has actually washed down our stormwater system and discharged out at one of the 8 outlets at Petone Beach. It is phenomenal when it rains, just to see how much rubbish washes out. So I've got some pictures here just to show you.
Lucy, everybody.
Hi Lucy. So this is one of the biggest stormwater outlets down at Petone Beach, which is right by the wharf, and this is where I collect the majority of the straws, and they wash out into our harbour, and then unfortunately they then just perpetually, they just wash, sort of float around in our harbour, and eventually when we have a big storm, they'll wash back up onto the beach. And on average each week I'd probably collect, it used to be maybe a couple of hundred, and now that I'm actually physically counting, some weeks I can get up to 500 if there's a big storm, and that includes little lollipop sticks as well, or cotton buds. So this is a different day, and you'll see that stormwater drain is actually covered completely. You can't even see it, the tracks of water. It's actually just in this vicinity here. And what happens is that the rubbish that comes out of those stormwater drains gets buried in the sand. So with every tide movement that we have, it's just washing more rubbish in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And one of the things that Hutt City Council is doing is a litter track trial, which is fantastic. They're using that in some parts of Petone, which is in conjunction with WellTech, and they are analysing the types of rubbish that fall into their stormwater drains. This rubbish here is collected over a 5 metre stretch of Petone Beach that was all on the foreshore, actually on the sand. As a general rule, I don't run on the sand every day, but it's pretty alarming when you look at a picture like this over a really short distance. We've got disposable cutlery there, plastic straws, lollipop sticks, a 2-minute noodle packet. This picture here is rubbish that I've picked up over a 10-metre stretch on the day of storm, and you can see that this packaging is quite intact, and you can recognise that some of the chippy packets, bluebird rations and what have you, are quite easy to identify. This plastic here, all of the branding has obviously washed off. And this here is an example of the stormwater drain, that a rudimentary storm cover outside a current construction. They've put a rudimentary cloth barrier over the stormwater drain, which of course when it rains it just sort of pushes back and all sorts of debris gets in underneath and discharges out of the sea. And it infuriates me that businesses can obviously, they're just not responsible for their waste. This here is your average little collection for me. McDonald's is my biggest problem, and their packaging. So this is as much as I can carry in my hands, which is quite a substantial amount of rubbish. And about 6 weeks ago I started actively using an app called Literati. I downloaded it back in March, but was having issues with my old phone. So I started using an app that now geotags every single piece of rubbish that I collect, which is starting to really paint quite a phenomenal picture. So if you jump on the Literati website, you'll actually be able to see all of the rubbish that I've collected, and it pinpoints all the different areas. I'll pass this around, of where I collect the rubbish. And if you jump on the website, you can see each of the individual dots, and you can click on each dot and then see what types of rubbish that is. So this is painting a really powerful picture for people to see what types of rubbish I'm collecting and where it's being collected from. And the rubbish accumulates largely around the wharf. That's probably the most problematic area, and all up Victoria Street. But even as I'm going about my daily life, I will use the Literati app to collect data of the types of rubbish. So even if I'm running off to a business meeting or having coffee with friends, or just simply going out to get the mail and I see some rubbish, I'll just snap it with my phone, and then I pick it up and put it in the rubbish. And I think today, Robbie, you were driving past me actually.
I was just in Texas.
You're going to see me doing it then. And it's just how life is for me. It's just part of my daily life. And I think people, Kenya's actually been out on a plog with me. It's just amazing to see the types of rubbish that accumulates in our environment. And I guess as business owners, I'm asking everyone to take responsibility for that small piece of your curb, and get others on board too. It's really easy. It doesn't have to be taking up copious amounts of time. So
one of the things you can do, if you've got a smartphone, is you can download the Literati app, which is what we did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Michelle was in here first, and we can all be active with that in terms of contributing to what Michelle's up to. And if we're out there picking up rubbish, we can just take a snapshot of it and add and contribute. So it looks like it's a diamond shape with an L in the middle, and it's blue.
I can add the link.
yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you, that'd be cool.
And if you could send me your photographs, and then I'll splice it into the video.
Awesome. Thank you.
So that way, when the newsletter goes out, it's going out to the associate members, the side streets, and further
it goes
afield.
into council.
And it goes into
I
council.
Well,
And
can
if they
I
click on it.
just share one of the things that I learned actually, and Leonie and Helen helped me a lot with this. Around this area at night, it gets really dark. So the beauty room downstairs, a lot of female patrons come in and they leave at 5 o'clock, and there's people out there that threaten them and intimidate them. So we put a submission to council for us for some lighting and some security cameras, and they sort of said not much. So then the guys at JSP said, well, actually what you really need is a petition. So I went around all the businesses and I said, look, this is what we're trying to do. I'll leave it here, I'll get our customers to sign it. And we got close to 500, I think, signatures on it. And then suddenly the council have to listen, because those 500 people are the people that vote. And so they have to actually do something. And that's where we start movement, is what you're doing, and then building an audience and building noise, and eventually they have to listen, they have to do something.
So at the moment, a lot of people are shirking responsibility. One of the big problem areas that we have in Petone is rubbish bins at bus stops, and particularly down by the station. Every month I dedicate a Saturday. Actually, Alice has been out and helped me on one of those days too. And last Saturday, just gone, we collected over 200 kgs in an hour and a half. It was 8 people. And it's just from the Petone station through to the roundabout. And a lot of commuters have come to Petone to work here, and I've seen them open their car doors and rubbish just fly out of their cars, or people throwing stuff, because there are places around Petone where I know there's a guy or a woman that drinks Fanta, and they drink it in a smaller bottle and they hip it out at the same spot every single day. There's coffee cups with names on it if they're from Wild Bean, or I can tell by the lipstick, or just where they're dumped. There's certain days, like I don't even need to try hard, like I'm just like, oh yeah, there it is, boom, and pick it up. And that alarms me. That strikes me as just completely.
So could you take a photo of the Fanta thing on the same spot and just say, does anybody know this person?
You could.
Could you do that?
Social media
Carla's
is
doing
not
it. Yeah.
Well, I'm not seeing them do it. That's the
No,
problem.
but we don't. You're not
So-
putting it, but people will know and see these people.
One a day Fanta habit in Petone. Yeah.
This is the
One
spot,
day
etc.,
Fanta, do you know?
etc. I don't know. It's just a thought.
It could work.
You were talking on one of your blogging page posts about trying to clean up the railway line.
Yeah.
And
So-
I was involved with a group that Sandy
Yes.
Beecroft organised.
So
And
we are
spent
organising.
today doing
Yeah.
that.
So the 15th of
Okay.
September,
Yeah.
which is during Clean Up New Zealand Week, we are actually, the railway is going to be closed. So
Yeah.
that's like a real bonus, and we're currently in negotiation with Kiwi Rail to do a really big clean, because the rubbish along the rail
It's
corridor
terrible.
is
It was terrible.
absolutely abhorrent, but so is the graffiti.
Yeah.
It is quite alarming, the graffiti
I've just
problem
had
along there.
graffiti removed on my street and somebody's come back and put it back on again.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
they're
we have to
controversial.
nip the
We've got
graffiti
that.
in the bud like that.
You've
What
got
I'm-
that number. the
Yeah,
big
no, I've
number,
already,
thank
I just
God.
have to do it again. We just have
What
to-
I'm finding down in the foreshore is that as soon as graffiti pops up, I'll also find quite a lot of rubbish in that area, largely alcoholic beverages and cans or bottles, and also take away some McDonald's, Burger King, KFC in the same area, and it's been hit quite a bit. So I ring council immediately, or I log it, report a problem immediately, and they're amazing. They'll do it that same day.
There must be
Claim
something
it.
that lives near me, because you can actually follow this, it's a particular, it's almost like an Indian design, that like a motif
Well,
kind
the
of thing.
police know. The police know who are doing
It's
which
like a
graffiti
mandala.
stuff.
It's where I've seen it down at Nowronga, at the bottom of under the bridge, and then it's up in my street. And I'm thinking they must live near me to do that. You could just about follow them home if they.
Yeah, well, there are
that's in their
specific
art, so-
tags, like recently,
Yeah. Mm.
the median barrier on State Highway 1 was targeted on both sides just after Easter. And the sheer audacity of someone to run across 3 lanes of traffic, or, potentially, to tag that median barrier just strikes me as completely bizarre. Why you want to deface that, but so the litter issue has become increasingly difficult. One of the problems that I've noticed is that people are making it a bit of a road trip to go to places like Kmart, jump in their cars, or either go to Kmart and then head off to McDonald's, and whilst they're sitting in traffic, they throw their rubbish out. And it's pretty hard. Like, I have seen people doing it and trying to prove that, and I'm picking up like the same special orders, the receipts from their special orders, and I've asked McDonald's to provide that information to Hutt City Council so that they can be prosecuted, but they don't want to do that. I don't know what they're afraid of, but they unfortunately aren't working together, and that's a real shame, because we need to nip it in the bud with people like that. This culture has become quite alarming, and I guess it's time that we all started, you know, banding together and resolving this issue. Does anyone have any questions at all?
Is there a fine for littering?
It's $100 in
Right.
Hutt City.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not being policed really.
Yeah. Well, it is. There are a couple of officers that are able to issue that fine, but the problem is trying to get all of the information and line
Yeah.
to then be able to find someone is pretty tough.
So
I think they should-
who issues the fines?
Well, Alan Pope's probably the most, he's one of the officers that's responsible for illegal dumping.
Right.
He's able to issue fines, and there's a couple of others as well. But I mean,
People
they're
throwing
not-
rubbish out the window like you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so that you've got to have pretty hard evidence, and videos are the best,
Yep.
rather than just a photograph.